Last week I reviewed the Osmo Action 2 on this channel, which is an old, older action cam. They still sell it, but it's 2 generations old now. And I had so much fun, I thought, what if I just looked at all my other cameras? I have a kind of big collection, and some of them are pretty old, and I thought, I might just do all of them. So, yeah, that's how we got to this. This is the Canon SD1200 IS. The IS stands for the fact that it has image stabilization. We got this back in July of 2009. This is one of those cameras that, well, we bought it from Dell, which is funny because I never think of buying a camera from Dell today, but they had a discount. Normally it was $199 at the time, but with discounts and coupons and I guess whatever deal they had going on, it was $160.70 out the door. I found the email. 10 megapixels. The video is 640 by 480, so that might look rough. We'll look at that in a minute here. One thing that's interesting is these cameras, they had a 1 hour record limit. So it is interesting to realize that back in 2009, Canon was making cameras that had a 1 hour record limit, and then for a long time they all had 30-minute record limits. So I don't know, I know there was a law in Europe that made cameras that had a, more than a 30-minute recording limit, a camcorder, and they were taxed differently. I don't know if that law came after this camera, but at least back then Canon was capable of making cameras with a 1 hour, or chose to make a camera with a 1 hour record limit. This is what we got this for. Basically was when our son was a baby, my wife bought this and used the heck out of it. I recently did an event, or I did a thing where I was cleaning up all of our photos. I was organizing them and removing duplicates, and I found my wife took like 5,000 pictures with this. Literally, I'm not making that up. Over 5,000 pictures. I think she just kept it in her purse, and this was pre-cell phones, pre-good cell phones. I think she just kept it in her purse and took pictures with it all the time. And it's easy to do that because it's just extremely small camera. It's got what feels like a metal build quality. It feels like a tank. It does have a viewfinder. Again, it's real easy to use. I mean, auto mode, if you want more control, the middle switch here is, photography mode, and you go down and that's a video mode, and everything else is like, it's just self-explanatory. When you look at it, you can kind of see how it works. So made to work easily, made to slide in your pocket. Again, this is one of those cameras you could forget you have it, and it's fun to hold. It is a little slippery, but it does feel like it's built like a tank. Like, you're not going to break this. Even if you drop it, I think you'd be okay, unless of course you drop it on the lens. So anyways, that's what I'm going to use this week. Turn it on, still works. It always made that noise. It was really loud turning on. Yeah, it's a fun little camera. If you're gonna record, press that button. And is it recording? Let me see here. Yes, it's recording. You can't really tell because of the light, but yeah, that's it. It's recording in 480 480p. So, oh, and it also records in the in that standard definition frame rate back before we got HD TVs. So it's like a taller image and not as it creates bars on the sides. But anyways, we'll look at this and gonna have fun with this week. My goal is to use it for at least a week and get a sense of all the stuff it's good at and all the stuff it's bad at, and then I'll give you a summary as I go. But yeah, fun little camera by Canon. All right, here it is in all its 480p glory. There's no way around it. It's a dated camera, but I'll just give you a minute to kind of take in. It actually looks really nice if you look at it like on a cell phone. For its time, I'm sure it was a wonderful camera, but it doesn't scale up well at all. The information's just not there. And if you're watching this on a computer, you can see that. you know. So what I'm going to do today is just quickly go over some of my first impressions of the camera, having played with it all of one day, and then over the rest of the week I'll use it in different scenarios and then show you the results. And I made a list because I didn't want to forget anything. Yeah, the video quality, it looks like a 15-year-old camera. You know, there's no doubt about it. It looks like old movies from, you know, the aughts or the 90s. Logistically, I really like the camera. Like, I like everything about the workflow. Batteries swap out. SD cards got full-size SD, not the micro SDs, which is great because I always tend to lose those. So even back then, they were making these with SD cards. That may have been their only option for all I know. But I like seeing it in a tiny camera. It means they can do that, you know. I found surprisingly that the microphone sounds great. The speakers sound great, so when I'm reviewing footage on the fly, I can hear things. The screen is not great outdoors in direct sunlight. But it's bright enough at its brightest setting where you could do some framing, but you're not going to be able to set critical focus or adjust your exposure because you're not going to be able to see it. And that was one thing that I didn't expect. Without a screen on the front, a front-facing flippy screen, I knew there was going to be issues with framing. But what I didn't know, I guess I didn't realize, was it's going to be very, very difficult. You're just going to have to use auto mode, which is fine. It makes the camera easier to use overall, but you're just going to have to trust the camera because you can't see yourself, you know. So all that exposure and focus is going to be up to the camera. So that's kind of the ethos of these Powershot cameras to begin with. So the lens is a little tighter than I expected. Yesterday I was taking some practice shots and I was shooting right at my nose. The internet says this is a 35mm lens at the widest, so it's primarily a photography camera, and that would be great for a handheld walk around photography camera. There's I think a 3x zoom. If not, you guys can correct me on that. I'm trying to read the lens itself, and I think that's Canon zoom lens 3x 15. No, 3x IS. So that looked like a 15. So it's a nice lens for taking photos. I took a couple of photos today, and you know, it still has that Canon-esque quality to it. Let's see here. One thing really nice about it is when you pull off video files, they are so small, it's almost like taking a picture off. I took a 4-minute video yesterday, and it came off almost instantly. It was like 500 megabytes. It's like taking a picture off, you know. So fast, you're like, did that really just happen? Let me refer to my list here so I don't forget anything. I talked about exposure. Yeah, this obviously isn't something that somebody's going to use for vlogging, for vlogging, especially, you know, in 2023. But it is kind of difficult. You need to keep it, like right now, you're kind of at the end of my fingertips, and this is what the framing looks like. Again, fortunately, it has a good microphone, so it picks up audio really good. I can see the microphone like hole right there, and it's pointed straight at me, which is great. I haven't had enough wind to see how well it adapts to wind, so that's remainder to be seen. Couple of random things. It makes AVI files, so that will go into Final Cut Pro, but I have found I had a problem using some of my extensions within Final Cut Pro with AVI files. So the first thing I had to do was convert it to a .mov, and then everything was fine. And if you have a program that'll do that, it's super easy to do. It's just one more step. It takes seconds, but it's one more step. It would probably be the thing that would ultimately keep me from using this camera besides just the crappy resolution. For my other project that I'm working on that requires me to have a camera every day, I would be happy using this because resolution doesn't matter for that project, but having to go in and convert the files first thing every day would be the beatdown that would make me go back to the Osmo Action 2, or, you know, another easier to use camera, just like a cell phone or something. This is just one of those details. It has a beep, which you can turn off, but if you turn off the beep, you have no indication of whether or not you're recording. So you press the shutter button in record mode, and by the way, it's super easy to switch from photo to record mode. I love that. Like that, they really put a lot of effort into making these easy to use. I think they, once cell phones came out, they continue making PowerShot cameras, but I don't think they put as much thought into the design. I don't think they actually test these with users to see what they want. I think they're just still making PowerShot cameras, but they're not really trying to compete with phones anymore, which is a shame. Oh, beeps. If you can mute the beeps, but then you can't tell if you're recording or not. But if you turn the beeps back on, you get basically two beeps, two different signals with the beeps. When you focus, it gives you the double beep, the beep beep, like Roadrunner. Press record, nothing happens. You don't know if you're recording until you press it again, and then one beep means it stopped recording. So it would be great to have a little bit more feedback to let you know that you are recording. But again, it's an older camera. Just something to be aware of. My overall impressions after one half of the day using this is it's fun. It's fun. I mean, even in 2023, it's fun to play around with this. Nobody should buy this for video quality. The pictures still look good. They're 10 megapixels, but they still look nice. They have Canon quality, like color and stuff like that. But I'm glad I have it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend running out and buying it, but I'm glad I have it. You know, so yeah, that's my thoughts so far. I'll spend the next couple days playing around with this and see what we can learn, and talk to you tomorrow. Alright, this is the Canon SD1200 IS from Arm's Length in the kitchen. Now this is an exceptionally well lit kitchen because I do a lot of YouTube videos here, so we bought big bright bulbs for this, and they're also really high quality. So this is probably as good as it will look indoors. The sun's not out entirely yet, or the sun's not down entirely. So here's food in the kitchen on this little camera. Those are some green apples. My wife made herself some homemade microwave nachos, and she made this guacamole from scratch, and it's freaking good. So yeah, this is what it looks like indoors. Again, I mean, it's VCR footage, but it does have kind of a quality that's fun. So yeah, hang on, here we are. Here we are at sunset with the little Canon camera. My wife is eating a lovely salad. What you got there? What are you eating?
It's a Southwest salad.
Yeah?
And it's not bad. Members Mark.
Members Mark?
This is gonna make it seem like you're taking a video from the 1990s.
Yeah, totally. Like it was recorded on a VCR
Just
between
checking.
Episodes of Saved by the Bell.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah. But anyways, this is what this little camera looks like right about sunset, just before sunset. This is pretty much magic hour, so maybe about 15 minutes away from it, but it doesn't get much better than this. So this is probably as good as this is gonna look. Looks a little overexposed on the screen, but you know, it's a 15-year-old camera. You can't expect perfection. Can you, baby?
No, I can't believe it. We're actually gonna get into the 70s by morning.
That's crazy. It's been 106 degrees out here.
It's like feels like fall right now.
It really does, and it's like still like 88.
Yes. But it feels like fall, and I'll take it.
Yeah, me too.
For 2 days, I'll take it.
Me too. Headed out to pick up the boy. Got the Canon SD1200 IS on me. That's my little pocket rig. And I'll say this: it is a nice little, easy to carry camera. Yeah, I mean, I literally forgot it was in my pocket. We'll see how this IS does. Yeah, it's not like a GoPro. That IS is all over the place. Get a little rock steady on my Canon SD1200 IS. You know, they need better names on cameras. Too many numbers and letters that don't mean anything. But here we are, driving around in my automobile. So this is me from Arm's Length filming myself. I feel like this is going to be right up in my face, but I'm going to pick up Ethan at the STEAM Center. He's done with robotics for the day, and we need to bring him home. Oh, green light. Woo. There he is, all by himself, waiting alone, because he told us at the last minute that we needed to pick him up.
Get that corn out of my face!
How long have you been waiting?
Like a minute.
Oh, that's not too bad. And you looked all lonely and sad. That's why I turned on the camera. Okay, time to head home. How was robotics?
Good.
Good. All right, thanks for that report. Throw some seed. Here they come.
Oh my gosh, they're so fast. Those little ones are coming.
Here, throw the seed around there.
That's okay. Boy, little. Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hey.
Good.
I didn't want to mess up your video.
Oh, we're good. We're just playing around. How have you been? Good. So since we're already 16 minutes into this, I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this short. But first I want to take a look at the actual pictures that come out of this camera. Now, disclaimer, right out of the gate, I want you to know that I am not a photographer, so I'm the wrong person to be doing this part of the review. And also, like, everything that I publish here is going to be straight out of camera. So if you know how to clean this stuff up, you can get even better pictures. So with that out of the way, there are definitely some problems. Outside where the camera does best, it's actually kind of hard to see the screen, which is kind of a big deal. I mean, again, you can see enough for framing, but that detail stuff, even exposure is hard to tell. So you got to kind of trust the autofocus or the automatic setting. So you're kind of leaving your life in their hands there. So got to keep that in mind. Now, particularly down low, it's hard to take pictures of things like ducks because there's no flip up screen. So I mean, this is what it looks like. So you kind of got to get your head down there to get the angle. It's not a fast lens, so there's a lot of motion blur in some of the pictures. The dynamic range is not that great, and in the dark specifically, sometimes it just misses focus, and sometimes that can be painful. Like this picture here of our anniversary, this could have been a cute picture if it would have focused properly. So I mean, that's the downside to a 15-year-old camera. You know, it is what it is. But there are times when it all comes together and it looks so nice. I mean, I think nowadays cell phones are a lot more reliable at most of the nuts and bolts stuff, anything that can be algorithmically controlled. But I have a ton of pictures that came off this camera that are just beautiful. From, again, early on, we had just started our family, we had a little baby, and we were watching him grow up. And even the cell phone pictures that I have, you know, when I'm looking through my collection of pictures, even the really, really good ones, there's never a good cell phone picture that I don't think, you know, that would even be better if it was in Canon colors. So something to keep in mind. Again, I'm not a photography guy. There are other people that know a lot more about this, but that's my brief thoughts. There's just something very organic and very pleasing about Canon color. So some final thoughts here. First, a couple of housekeeping things. This camera keeps great time. Like, it doesn't drift much at all. Like, kind of surprising, actually. My other cameras will drift a minute or two per day or week, depending on the camera. This one knows how to tell time. Turns out cameras in 2009 could tell time. What an amazing thing. Also, this isn't a touchscreen, just so you know. I don't think I ever mentioned that. So, yeah, I think 2005 predates touchscreens on a lot of these cameras. My final thoughts. I love this camera. I love the way it was made. It was made to be intuitive. It was made to be easy. It was made to be fun. It had great microphones. You know, like it took good video for the time, and you could hear things clearly. Audio is most of video. You know, and I think of these in terms of being a video guy more than a photography guy. But the pictures, even at 10 megapixels, are great. I mean, they're really nice. Unlike today, where it seems like the cameras still coming out with just seem kind of uninspired, you know. And to put this in perspective, like, this is the Canon V10. It's the first camera of this type that Canon has come out with in 3 years, right? When this came out in 2009, there were 8 different cameras just like it that Canon alone came out with. They were pushing into this market. They were trying to make something that people could keep in their pocket that would be worth having around. And they were doing it all across the price spectrum. But again, this was $160. This is $429, plus you kind of need to buy all this extra gear to make it a complete package. I mean, yeah, you can walk around with this in your pocket, but you know, yeah, is this better than this? Yeah, most likely in a lot of ways. But is this better than your average cell phone like this was at the time? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's got one lens. When it records 4K, it overheats. Now, cell phones overheat also, but under normal circumstances, a cell phone won't. If it's a hot day or it's in direct sunlight, this is going to overheat a lot faster than that. This has stabilization, but cell phone stabilization, especially at least on my iPhones, is better than what I'm seeing online. I mean, when your main selling point is you put 2 really nice microphones on the top that actually can't even be used outside in the wind without a third-party accessory. I mean, we had nice microphones in 2009. This shouldn't be a selling point. This should be a given. It should be a given. And that's, I guess, what I like about this, because for its time, I feel like Canon was doing all they could to provide a good value to the customer at a good price. And you could say that cell phones pushed these cameras out of the market. I'm not sure I feel that way. Honestly, I think Canon just stopped innovating. I think, yeah, maybe today we don't need to have an extra camera, you know, because we have cell phones. But the reality is, it's like, we don't need an iPad either when that came out. You know, nobody needs an iPad. Like, you can do the exact same stuff with your phone or with your computer. Why would you have an iPad? Well, it's because iPad found a way to carve out a spot for itself, where for a lot of people it's worth the money. And Canon just sort of, well, we'll see how this works, you know, because it's got 4-year-old parts in it, but it's in a different box, so maybe people will like it. And that's not the same. I mean, it is easy to use. It is, I'll give it that. But it's not bringing more to the table than a cell phone is, other than, you know, the skin tones and the Canon color science, which is the main selling point. You know what I mean? But when it comes to, again, for video, the stabilization and some of the other features, like the frame rates and the things that make video 2023-ish, you know, it's just not. I wish, here, let me sum up like this. I wish Canon had spent the last 15 years with this mindset, making this camera as good as it could possibly be, because I think had they done that, they could have made something that could have pushed cell phones to the side, would be putting pressure on cell phones to do better, rather than having cell phones push them out of the market, because I think that's really sad. And there are companies that are doing it. I mean, Sony makes really good point and shoot cameras still, but they're outrageously expensive. And Canon has other point and shoot cameras that are really nice, but they're not as nice as Sony's, you know, and they're still really expensive, like $800. That would have priced us out back then. So anyways, great, fun camera to own. I wouldn't recommend buying it in 2023, but I'm glad that we have it. And this was a fun video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you enjoyed the series, please like, subscribe. I'll probably do another video like this with one of my other cameras. I think I'm just gonna do them all over time once I get to them. So thanks if you watched this far. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one.